It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but we star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 259th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, January 17th, 2019. This is a broadcast from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be your host today, and as usual, in the previous 258 Knowledge Seekers Workshops, we have Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation available to speak to us once again today. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go with today's show?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever and wherever you listen to these knowledge seekers teachings. As you know, we are going in a very rapid way towards a new direction of space technology and space development. In the coming weeks, we'll announce more and more what we call joint venture, collaboration with organizations and governments as the technology has taken a new phase. But it's interesting to see how things are developing and how the new systems is getting accepted by scientific organizations in um, gradually in showing the credibility of the technology, that scientific organizations are looking at, yes, this is a change, there is a difference, and it's very, very heartwarming. Even though it's taken such a long time, the foundation work has shown to be, and it's going to be in a very major way, a change in the world of science. We've seen it. We have kept a lot of things away from public because of what we happens when we announce things. But it's getting to the point that it cannot be withheld, not by us, but by the governments in announcing the discoveries of what they have achieved through the work of the foundation. Um, what is um, very interesting for us is um, understanding the work of the next step after physical condition. We have called it the work of the soul and everything else, and we go deeper into it. But at the same time, we have to keep our organizations in what I call the running order, and we can keep things moving quite smoothly. From last week's what we released as new products, it supports the Keshe Foundation factories and the staff to be looked after, and at the same time it keeps them going with the research, some of them, and some of them to be able to keep operating. The Ghanaian PPU needs a lot of support. We have received some orders from it. It's very nice to see that many of the people who listen have overcome the barriers of the race and colors, and them thinking it's from Africa is no good because it's certified, and their trust is made by the Keshe Foundation. It's already certified. We don't get everything right all the time, but on the other hand, these uh, systems have been tested by petroleum groups and been given the confirmation that what they tested, the units shows 30-40% reduction, and this gives another guarantee to people who buy it that it does work. And now with what we call cascading system, we have solved the problem of what we call a generator, that the system feeds itself gradually. After a while, it starts feeding back on itself. It's a true generator, as generates as a hybrid, and over time it just needs the impulse of the what we call the phases of the AC. So what it is, if you can create that condition, the cascading works more or less perfectly up to 100%. We've seen the 100% achieved in a number of countries, and this will carry on with our work. And what I ask is to support the PPUs from Ghana. Ghana needs to be supported, the same as we've seen with the Chinese handmade products, and at the same time what's coming from Austria, the lab, and Italians. The production of and keeping these things going is important for the Keshe Foundation to be uh, able to deliver new products and new substances and new technologies and new understanding. And I think today you will see something very strange from Austrian Keshe Foundation. That's something they developed, and it takes a long time to develop it, understood the process, and they've set up to do it. And you see it is a major uh, breakthrough, and it is for all of us in how we can do these things and how we can enter these these systems and how we can bring them to be viable for what they're sold and what they show us to do. And now we're going into dimensions of the feeling of the fields and emotions and the rest of it. And when I looked at this product, It brings a lot of understanding to those who would like to purchase it, but it's very expensive. Um, but on the other hand, it's not the material, it's the process of producing the condition which takes time. And that effort is a manpower, it's not the product. In any case, we need, as I said, as much donation and supports to the foundation structure, and it needs to be for it to be available as it's been in past years. We'll announce new breakthroughs in the coming days and weeks, and some of it you might hear in the international press because we will not be able to hold it back. We tried everything to hold as much as we could back, but some of the advancement in technology, like Keshe Foundation, um, has and is leaking into international press, and how it will be released um, is a joy for us. But on the other hand, we have to see what will be the reaction and how, which organization will release the what we call the breakthroughs. Uh, but if in next 2 or 3 weeks or so, you hear things that comes through international press that the Keshe Foundation has achieved with discoveries and governments, different organizations, we tried our best to keep below radar. We keep it silent for sometimes, but now it's coming through, and you will see the whole structure. Going back to the teachings, it is we carry on with the same pattern about the soul. Just before we start, we had a request from Caroline. Can you explain more how to make the portals? We'll leave it to you to decide. You have to extend. We will make tomorrow in a location to set up the structure of the first portal. Tomorrow we'll physically on the premises, on the area where we're planning. We hope that the first portal will be set up somewhere around the middle of this year, and the structure of the whole organization. And what would this portal bring us? Or what do we call a portal? If we look, a portal is an eye into the future, an eye into another dimension. That's what we call it, a portal. But if you think, the soul of the man has its own portal, and something which we never understood, something which in many cases I try to explain, and now maybe for the first time, those of you who speak about dreaming and speak about what we call opening of the soul of the man, is that how the physicality has created what I call portal for its own transportation, for its communication, for its bandwidth and strength of the softer and higher order lower. What does this mean? If you look at the structure of the physicality of the man and the position of the soul of the man, you will see the portal. It's been there. It's a portal that we as human beings would never considered it. But now that we understand and we graduate into this thing, we have to. We have no choice. If we can I have the first picture, please? If we look at the skull of the man, we see within the structure of the skull of the man, the soul of the man has made a portal for itself very cleverly. An eye into the dimension of the physicality, an eye in the dimension of what I call the soul, the eye of the soul. If you look at the position of the portal and draw a line very right across it, see what you see. If you take the totality of the wavelength, or what I call the bandwidth of the eye of the man, where do you see? You cross the position of the soul of the man. Very strange. But what is important is the eye or the soul of the man has chosen a dimension of the soft tissue where the rest of its structure is considered to be well absorbed. When we look into the neural system of the eye, when we look into the structure of the eye and the soul of the man, we find one of the most important portals of the life of the man itself. If you can increase and understand the strength of the soul of the man and its operation, the whole universe becomes visible to you. In the universal community, many races are like this. It's all closed. But they have used the strength of the soul to go beyond the dimension of the physicality of the structure, of the boundary of the emotion, of what we call the brain. So when we speak about the soul of the man and a portal, or a portal, the eye of the man, the skin, but at the same time, this skin follows the whole structure of the physicality. How far can we go and how far can we extend this knowledge? Do we need to have a vision direction to be able to see? Or can we direct our vision for us to be able to transfer the strength of the soul of the man through? When you understand and when humanity comes to mature enough, you'll find out that the physical eye of the man in his body as a physicality is one of the most powerful tools that a man could have been given to be able for the transportation, communication of the soul with the universe. Vision, as we call it, the eye of the man, is a soft tissue axis. If you look at the position of the soul, and if you look at the other dimension of the brain of the man, the soul sits right through, looks down the eye of the man. Up or down, slightly, you will see the direction of the soul. You're looking at the side view of this. When you look at the frontal view, you will see the eye of the man looks directly into the soul of the man. You remember very first times we started speaking about the position of the soul, I explained to you if you can find a stereo phone, how you can locate it. So you have your stereo phone, you have your vision, you can pinpoint the position of the soul. You have to understand very simple thing. If I draw this in a different dimension, in a very practical way, it's very simple. You have the two hemispheres of the brain. You have the two hemispheres of the brain. You have the two eyes which cross, and you have the two ears. In a way, if you draw the line right across, in a very a specific way, you should be able to see the dimension of the soul and the position of the soul. In so many ways, we always had access to, and you always gain access out of. And in the future, when man grows in the knowledge, you will understand something very, very simple. And that is why, when we have a dream, we have a vision. When we have a dream about our mother, or our loved ones, or our children, why do we see visual? Why we connect with the noise and the place? It's because the soul of the man sees through the eye of the man. And in that process of achieving and reaching other souls, what he gets back, it comes through the vision. So we have a vision of it. In so many ways, man up to now have never understood this. The skull absorbs, has a limitation, soft tissue of the eye, and the liquid within the eye of the man is a transformation of the level of the soul to level of physicality. And in conditions when you don't even have the eyeball, the structure which is built by our ancestors in the position of the conversion sits within the eye of the man. The physicality of the eyeball is more or less irrelevant in comparison to the soul. This is why, if I can explain it in a simple way, our soul's portal is the eye of the man. And that's why everything we see as a dream or a connection between our soul and understanding in connection with other souls goes through the eye of the man at a given strength. But you have to understand the whole structure of the skull of the man receives other strength. At the level of the vision of the man that we see our loved ones, or we see we are in an environment, we see through the portal, through the strength of the soul, through the vision of the eye of the man, which in return from the soul of the environment and the soul of the loved ones, we see converts back into and becomes what we call the vision or memory or what we had a dream of. Then you understand something very, very simple, that even the daytime, when the man is awake and looks through his eyes, the soul is still in communication with the others, and what is the coming back, and it gets registered within the structure of physicality. So the soul of the man never sleeps, and the eye of the man never stops converting. But it comes another point. When we travel in the depth of the universe, and this vision of, or this condition of what we call visuality, or this condition of the rest and sleep disappears, because now our resting time and the sleep time is totally dependent on the rotation of the sun and the earth. In the space, there is no sun, and you're in dimensions of no time, no space, because that space is yours. There is no other space you can be in. A lot of people who don't understand when we speak about no time and the space in the world of universe, because the time and the place and the space is you. Nothing exists before or after. So when you're in the depth of the space and you don't have these parameters which has literally controlled the operation of the physicality of man, Is there time for rest? Or do we live through the eye of the soul of the? Do we go through 8-hour cycles and 16 hours of waking? Because the 8 hours in depth of the universe is 1 second, and this is less than 1 second. It doesn't exist. Or do we go as part of the understanding of what we call renovation, regeneration, or replacement? Do we take and wait 16 hours to recharge, what we call during the rest time? Or do we recharge as we use? Or we take from the environment of the universe as we need, that we do not need to recharge. We do not need that rest time. As I was explaining in talk yesterday, um, in the countries and in life of our ancestors, except now that they brought the religion and they shut us closed down, you have to be a Sunday because it's a holiday, and it's got to be a Saturday because you're a Jewish and a holiday, and the Muslims comes with the Fridays. Everyone chooses the whole week. If we have 4 more religions brought in, the whole week will be holiday time. The Jews don't work on Saturday, but they live in a Christian country, Saturday and Sunday. The Muslims go for a Friday and a Saturday clothing, or a Thursday and a Friday. You go to the East, to Dubai, it's a Friday and Saturdays holidays. Even the Muslims have become Jews. And then you go to European Jews, and now let's make another 4 days. The whole week is a holiday. Then we become true man of space. There is no space, there is no gap. And it goes back to the olden time, before all these religious forces came in because they corrupt the soul of the man. Man worked 365 days a week. They found a day to celebrate for something, and they celebrated for something. So we go back to the origin of us on this planet. There was no weeks, there was no days, there was no time. But the difference with the world of the space, when you go into it, there is no lack of energy. Because as we use, really we replenish. Actually, we don't use. We tap into the universal energy. As we use it, it gets replaced. Do I need to hawk food that one day I'm going to go hungry in the space? But the food is there. It's not part of my go. It will be there as I need it. Then it comes one fundamental question. What is man going to do with the life of no tiredness, no hunger, and no dimension? How do we spend our time in the depth of space? When you watch some of these futuristic movies, they put people in capsules to be asleep for 100 years, 200 years to get to the destination. 100 years of life of man is nothing in the dimension of space. And if you leave them loose, now that we understand how the soul of the man works, you don't need to nobody to sleep. But you bring balance between the soul of the man and the soul of the physicality of the man, that they work as in what I call a synchronized way. I'm a nuclear physicist. I'm a scientist by training, by nature. And to me, when I look at the soul of the man and the soul of the physicality of the man, it explains to me a proton and electron. Electron moves and takes energy as it needs to find a position in relevance to its proton. So, in the depth of the space, the life of the man will be the same. The physicality will absorb what it needs from the soul to keep it in a position and a distance from its creator. Then, do we need to kill? Do we need to look for food in the span of universe? Or actually what we become another work of the nature, electron and the proton. This called one atom, where this is one atom, the existence of the mind. And then if we understand this, do we need to feed the man? this, this brings us to a lot of things. I was explaining to knowledge seekers very recently. I didn't come here to build up factories. I came here to detach man from physicality, which is building the factories. But it's the way I can get the man to see the beauty of the technology that they stop building things and become independent. Research centers to develop new ways to understand more, but in so many ways, now that we understand, and truly we can understand, how the soul of the man works, and how it manifests itself, and how it keeps its position in respect to its dimension, then is there any reality to the physicality of the man? Or is it just a mirage of fields in trying to keep in position with each other, create a vision, mirage of the physicality? Then is there a space and time? And then is there a time to have the space to confirm the existence? Then it comes to understand, do we need the vision? Or is the vision a portal for communication for the soul of the man without the restriction to the dimension of physicality to the strength of the other souls? Would we see the soul of entities of the universe through our soul, through the eye of the man, but not through the physical operation of the man, but through the soul of the cells of the physicality of the man, that it converts to the vision, the soul of the man? Then it comes to one point. Is there a part in the brain of the man which can convert such information for us to understand? And then it comes to another dimension of the understanding which the vision of the man has to and will open up to, that we already been aware of the existence of the life beyond the life of man in the universe, but the information has been filtered at a given level that is not and is above or below the sight vision of the man in the dimension of the physicality of the matter on this planet. The problem is, as I said, goes back into medical teaching. In the medical teaching, when you go back and listen to, we had Dr. Elia Kosov in the first 30 other teachings. And in every shape or form, she confirmed the existence through the medical acceptance and the machinery and systems which confirm the correctness of. And then we put the parallel in the dimension of the soul and understanding work of the plasma. Then this brings one thing very important to all of us. That we have created systems and technologies to confirm that what we see is what it is. Because we have transferred the knowledge into the physical dimension of understanding of ourselves. We send aircraft onto Mars, onto Moon, and we take still pictures of that frame at the vision of man, not at the strength of the vision of the universe. And then, because we do it, we confirm to ourselves that this is it. Because as we did with medical systems, we built systems to fit into the fallacy of the oxygen crosses the lung, and then it gets oxygenized, and we all accepted it. And now with the new technology understanding of transplasma, we understand there is no such a thing. It's just energy transfer. If you could put the banana and transfer the energy to your mouth, and the banana appears in your lymph and it becomes part of your body, you can do the same thing. Push the banana to your eye, it will go through and it gets transferred where it's got to go. And you don't need the mouth, you can just push it through the skin, and it comes part of the lymph. So we understand that there is a process of conversion, but man has made systems to confirm according to the time of his understanding, systems to confer is correct, and we have accepted it, and this is now for us to understand. It's time to move on and understand the work of the physicality of the universe is not at the level of the vision of the man, and is at the vision of the full strength spectrum of the soul of the man. We just convert it, we just take it, and part which we need. In a way, if you go to the last pages of one of the books, I say that God is the creator and the man converts himself. We convert very little of it, but the love of the creator spans the whole spectrum. What to you is an ant, to another creatures of the universe is a moving soul. Does not see the physicality. And this is what we have to understand. And in the process of the life, especially when you come to portals, and the portals to transfer the soul of the man, or the dimension of physicality of the man, these things will count very heavy. It counts very heavy because you have to decide what is the space gap that I can exist, and not necessarily in the dimension of the physicality of this planet, this solar system, this galaxy, and this universe. If I take the same soul, which gives the physicality of the man with 2 arms and 2 legs, and put it into another universe strength dimension, it could be nothing, it becomes one cell and cover the whole space of that universe as one cell. Because it's the energy of the system counts, and not the length of your fingers and toes, and how tall can you be. Then we come to one fundamental understanding. When you make these portals, when you make these systems of transportation of the soul of the man into the dimension of the universe, do we need to control them and the strength of the soul of the man on this planet? Or do we give the soul of the man the freedom to choose his place, his point, his confirmation, and his existence? Then what happens to a beautiful fallacy which man has accepted? I made man in the image of myself. The image of me on earth is 2 hands and 2 legs, and the image of me in planet Zeus, 20 arms and 40 legs. Which one is mine? Or is my image dependent on the environment of the manifestation? And then, do I still communicate and be in control of the space dimension of the soul of the man in that position? And I still can look through the portal and I still be in touch with the mother, with the sister, which I knew on the planet. In an upcoming conference with the space agencies around the world in a few months' time, these are the things that will be considered. The new space agency, which will come by the collaboration of the work of not only the space agencies, but the Keshe Foundations of these nations, including as part of it, because then you become responsible to teach the scientists at NASA, the Russian Space Agency, and the rest, the understanding of the plasma at the level of what we teach. Then you'll find out they have a lot of problems till we can show, we can manifest. So when we have set up the Cybro, which is what is the new name for the new space agency set up, which literally stands for, this is what it is: China, Iran, Brazil, Russia, India, and United States space agencies. We are not looking only to bring scientists from NASA. It is First comes the scientists from Keshe Foundation who have developed the space technology in their work. So we merge the space agencies of the nations, the Keshe Foundation works of the space technology, because it's the responsibility of you to teach these guys there is another to that what you know. Cyber.org has been registered and will start its operation in a couple of weeks. But it will be a collective space agency as part of the spaceship program to Keshe Foundation. And part of this is for you to open the eye of the space scientists of the present into understanding the work of the solar. In so many ways, with the confirmation and establishment of cyber, we bring cyber work of the science of the soul of the man in work with you. Many of you think, yes, that you is at the end for United States. I think twice and think, where does the universe sit? The creation of understanding the new technology and transferring the knowledge the way we have taught, and you become wise to, and many of you are start building the space systems. You understand it, you understood it. You're building spaceships to define lines which I teach, and many of you don't understand, and some become anew. You become the teachers of these agencies. You become the teachers of the new space science. And in this process, it's easier to teach the scientists of the new space era that we have moved from the physicality of the craft, and we have moved from the physicality of the planet Earth, we have moved from physicality of body of the man to the dimension of the creation, which is the dimension of the soul of the man without actuality. It'll be very hard for the present aerospace scientists to accept, because then they'll find out they have no passengers to carry. That was their aim. We have one of our colleagues, people we know, who is life, literally, as a pension policy, is to complete the NASA space mission to Mars for human life landing on Mars in 2030. The head of the mission has been told he cannot speak to Keshe Foundation. It's forbidden. He can lose his job. Because how long can these space agencies cover up? Or what we see in the next level, by building the space cities, we show the cities are nothing but the space for the soul of the creation. And not only on this planet, but across the universe. In the setting up of the new space cities, one of the main considerations is, can we have to, as part of our obligation, to create a space where is the point of interaction of the man, the soul of the man, with creatures and the soul of the creatures of the universe. Because now we understand we have to have a guest room and acceptance room. Somewhere we can provide leisure, and somewhere we can provide what we call the environment of the beauty of this planet, to be seen, to be shown. In so many ways, United Nations, such a thing, but Matter State, some years ago, they've sent spacecraft, they left the universe, which is still going, and saying, we are people from Earth, this is this, this is this. But now we have changed with the new understanding. We bring the soul of the, what we call the man of the universe, to be guests at home. Even though they have been guests here for a long time. In so many ways, is very strange. I was explaining this some times ago, and it's not far from reality. You know, sometimes you get on a bus, you sit on a bench somewhere, or you come across a man, you start talking, and then you realize you know each other from childhood. You went to the same school, or you lived in the same neighborhood, and you talk about this and that cafe, and sometimes in that running around in that environment you have met, but you have no memories of. In these space cities, now you're given the memories to remember. The man you met on the street in such a place was a child of space, as you did not know. Now you can connect. We had lunch together there. But he looked us to be eating to come to the conformity of you, to be for you to be happy. But it's there for him to see the soul of. So now we understand, by opening up these new space agencies, these new space errors with these new space cities, we are not in a way inviting you to come and see the new magic. It's not the new Disney World, but it's the world where it makes it easy to understand it's always been there. It's always been with us. It's us who have not understood. In a way, if you understand it, is as you have two legs and two arms on the condition, atmospheric condition of this planet, and you carry the amino acid of this planet, and then when you go into planet Zeus and you get the dimension physicality of the appearance of what you could be there, in creating these portals, we allow the passengers who made themselves to be in the dimension of the man to show themselves in the original dimension of their point of creation on their planet. And then we see the true soul and the creation of the time and space of the creation. If many of you think I can, I will see aliens and I can say what it is, my friend, it's a very good guess. But when we create a condition, then we see neighbor we knew, the man we saw on the space in the dimension, now this is his true face, his true physicality of the dimension of the creation. The change in the coming time is so rapid that mankind has two choices. Carry on with the stigma and sticking to what is in the past, or accept the new and the present future of the science. Many will have the reminiscences of Earth. Used to be. In so many ways, it has come, it has to be. It's been there, it's us who did not know. As I explained to a child, he said, when did we discover electricity? I said, the electricity has been with us from the beginning of the time, the thunders and lightning. It's us how, and now we understand how it's produced and make it, and we call it a test robot. It's the same lightning. Now, it has always been with us. Now we are educated to see it. We are developing a knowledge of the universal structure, not in the matter state of the man, to be able to understand the reality and the truth about creation, and not about ourselves. The minute we start looking back to see about us, we have come to the same point as man has been up to now, but further down the line, me, me. These teachings in the past few weeks will be heard by many, many men of this planet for generations to come. These are the cornerstones of the new era. just happen to be with it when it happens. In a coming time, all this become as what we call bread and butter of everyday travel, interaction, existence of the man. If you're not happy in the dimension of physicality, you do not need to prison yourself into it, that you confirm and conform with it. This is important for many, many, many things when the man comes into space. We learn a new freedom, but we have to learn with this new freedom of physicality comes a new principle, a new dimension of totality, but integrity of mind, not what is others. And it goes back to the first command, thou shalt not steal. In so many ways, the new understanding, I've seen people mixing ganses and things and the others, and I sit down and I look and I say, my God, they're still busy with it. They have not seen. If you want to replicate the work of the universe and understand it, do what happens in the universe, not what you want it to be because you understood. We have started the development of the final phase of this spaceship program. And hopefully, in due course, you will see unconditional flight in the structure of the soul of the man. But in the new space system, we have followed word by word. It's very much up to now, blocks by blocks, for you to learn that you can put the next block before you can have the whole structure. The new space system, which is now under design and development, is a completion of totality. It's the replication step by step. We will not release when, how, and who, and where is going to be shown. But when it manifests itself, every soul on this planet will feel it. In the past days, we have moved to the final stages of application of man. Systems getting designed, systems developed. At the same time, when these systems come to the full operation, replicate the operation of the soul. Now, the physicality of man, even though we need the physicality to cover the soul. The final phase, what I call the final stage, the final system, is very, very simple, but extremely complicated, because it has to take into account everything that leads to creation of the soul. Remember, you have an egg and a sperm on their own. But when they share the fields, in sharing, they have rubbing off, which in this rubbing off creates a position of collecting the spares, which becomes a new cell. And again, the connection and interaction between them becomes the creation of more cells, because it comes out of the friction of interaction, plus what the environment gives, that at the end it ends up with the soul of the man and physicality. But up to now, no one has followed this. In the Iranian Space Agency work 10, 11 years ago, I put this in, but Iranian scientists have not understood this fully. They still work on the matter state. But if you understand this and you comprehend some of this microphone is open, then you will understand something very, very simple. Man has entered the final phase of understanding not the work of the universe and how to travel the universe, but to understand the work and the travel of his own soul, and nothing. What you call very much, as we said, unified field theory. As you read my work, if this is planet Earth, the unified field theory tells you one thing: magnetical and gravitational are all the same. Depends on which point, on which direction you're looking at. If you stand and look with the two eyes, you see this coming and going, and you say it's one field. If you look that way, it looks red or white, and then the other way is red or white, and then you say there are two different things. But if you, in reality, look at the true structure of a car, you put red lights in the back and the white lights in the front, it's the same car. It's the unified. It's the same thing. It depends, has it passed you or is coming to you? So, as it's the same car, it's unified. It's a unified field theory, which has become one of the, what we call, enigmas in the world of physics, shows the lack of understanding of the man. And then if you understand this, you understand, change the car to the soul of the man. And then you have to decide, are you getting or are you giving? Or is it coming to you to receive as you need it, or you're giving away what you do not need? Those who made the world of unified field theory showed absolute lack of understanding of totality of the creation, even though they live by it on every day. Is it on the red shift or is it on the white shift? In fact, it's only one shift and it's the same light, the same lay. It's just dependent on the point of observer. And then if you understand this, as a man in the space, this makes a lot of problem for you lot. And that is this soul next to me coming to me to take from me? Or is this soul on this side is coming to give? And how purple is this and how blue and white is the other one? And then you decide your reaction, and in fact your position in respect to both, you take a new position. If you look at this, same principle, exactly the same teaching, nothing has changed. You just change the name of the earth and the sun to the change of the man and his physicality, to the position of the soul of the man and another soul. In essence, it's the same entity, the same work of interaction of the fields of the universe. So we come back to the beginning. What is the purpose of the soul of the man? And now that we understand this, has the soul of the man now has become and understood by us that it lives, it has communicated, it will forever communicate as long as the dimension of the physicality of the man exists, through the portal of the eye of the man. Or in a way, if you look at it,
Does the body needs the eye, or has it made itself two holes to be able to escape through and be able to do its work, to communicate with outside, at the strength of the vision of the man? And now for the first time we understand what it means and how the dream comes to be visualized by us, because we actually see our eye has always seen the soul of the mother and has transformed it in a physical dimension to the structure of the mother, even through the life of the mother in front of you and the presence in front. Then you come to understand how far man has fooled himself in conformation of the physicality. Or in so many ways, we have changed the strength. At a certain strength, we see the physicality of the mother, but in fact, we always observe the soul of the mother. And when the mother changes the position and leaves the physicality, we still see the same soul, and we transfer it to the vision as the mother. And this is the truth about the creation, which man has never understood. In a way, the eye socket of the man, with nothing there to block the strength and matter state of conformity, is like a house with bricks, and wherever you go you don't see anything outside except where you left two windows. By the brick walls we blocked ourselves to see the outside and the outside to see us, but we chose the window to be the portal of us to be able to see. So has been the man himself. Nothing changes in what's happening outside in the reality of dimensional existence. It's just that when we decide to look through the window, but all the information from outside has always come in through the window, and all the information from inside has gone through. So in a way we made the house in the same condition and position of the skull of the man. We gave it a portal, we call it a window, and we made it transparent. It's us who has chosen to put the shutter that we don't see when it's dark or when it's cold. And in the eye of the man, we created the eyelashes. At this time, I just want to work through the soul. I call it the sleep time. That I don't need dimension of the information, dimension of physicality, that I don't want to see the color, the bedroom, the roof, the ceiling, or the sky. So I only work to the dimension of the soul of the man. So the work of the soul of the man never stops. Just because you close the shutters of the window of the house does not mean the sun is not shining. And does not mean that the light bulb in the house is not working. You have decided to close, but in reality, the field strength above that shutter moves in, the heat of the sun comes in. So is the soul of the man. But in the condition of the eye of the man, when the information comes through the cycle of the vision in the socket, that is another intermediary, converts the information of the soul of the man to the dimension of the physicality of the mother, as you know. So when it comes to the dimension of the space, how do we recognize the passengers of the universe? If we carry the dimension of the physicality of the man on the position and the strength of the field of physicality. The astronauts of the future will have a huge problem to separate themselves from this. Those of you who travel through the structure of the soul of the man will enjoy the beauty of the creation across the universe. And then the question goes, do we still need a spaceship? Or do we travel on the ship of the space of our soul and conquer the universe? Now, I have opened to you one of the biggest mysteries of mankind. Because you're so physical, you have to see it to believe it. Now,
You understand how seeing has been a tool for you to not to see the reality, because it has kept man in the dimension of physicality at the strength of more or less the calcium of the life of this planet. Slightly different strength of calcium create the transparency of the vision of the man. When I pile it up, I call it the skull, and when I thicken it a little bit, I call it the skin. But this is the strength I want to travel, and I've made portals for it to travel in the spans of universe. Now we have opened another mystery about the creation. It's for those of you who understand to decide where you want to go. And many of you take you sometimes to understand, and many of you have already understood, because I have reached and touched the soul to carry the information. In a way, if you look at it, we have to do something while the soul is alive. Doesn't matter on this planet or in the universe. What is better to teach the other souls? That's what I do, to serve, to elevate the soul of so many. Then the question comes, what do you do when you become passenger of the space and in the dimension of the soul of the creation, and you become part of, and you become into a new dimension? Do you become a teacher, or you become a thief? This very much depends on the strength of the physicality you choose, or you live on the extension and dimension of the soul of the man. Physicality needs feeding, and if you cannot find continuous feeding, you become a thief. The soul becomes a teacher. Does not feeding, but it teaches. As it teaches, it receives. Then you have to decide who is the white light and who's taken and become the red light. Or is it what I've given that is become the red to me, not what is taken from me, moving from me. This is a very big, important point for those of you who start understanding the work of the soul, the understanding of the work of the portals, and understanding that the portal of the universe does not to be in the city, but it's within the eye of the man, through the vision of the man and the strength of the dimensions of the physicality of the space and time of the existence. Now, you can see where the new knowledge goes. Every week, we extend bit by bit that somebody might understand. Someone still builds a spaceship, and someone has already made a ship from the space of their souls. Then, next time when you dream, when you say, I had a dream, just think, I didn't have a dream. It's what I shared with the soul, and the soul allowed me to be, to share with. And as the sun shines and spreads light in its fields, at the same time shines on Earth as it shines on Jupiter and on Saturn. It's the space of time that it confirms its manifestation. So as you are dreaming of or communicating through the dimension of the soul, then you are yourself another dimension, as a star in the galaxy receiving the lights and the fields of the universe. And you take as much as you need, and you give as much as you don't need. But you exist at the same time on Earth, on Mars, on Jupiter, and it can be observed in other part of the universe as that shiny dot you call the sun. We call it a solar system. So now it becomes very easy to understand. Are we dreaming? What is our physical life part of the physicality dream? And then it comes to a point that do we live two lives? One life in the dimension of the physicality, the strength, and one in the dimension of the soul of the strength of the universe. When you close your eyes and you call it a sleep and you have that dream, which means you use the dimension of the portal of the eyes to be maybe in 10 different dimensions, but you can only want to choose which one. But the same thing happens while you're walking. You live the two lives. The life of the physicality, the soul of the strength of the matter state of this planet, and then the dimension of the soul of the universe, because the sun at this point is Earth and we see, and the sun at the other point looks and exists on Jupiter and Saturn, and is the mother or the father or somewhere else. So man has to realize the portal of the soul of the man operates in two dimensions, and it's him who has to choose. And at the time when you blank out one frequency, which we call the frequency of the physicality, the other one which has been walking around the time has been going and is still in touch. We decide today, I want to listen to channel 4, and tomorrow to channel 3, and the channel 4 was the dream. I wanted to see what the mother is saying, and the channel 4 is the other, and channel 2 is my father, and I convert that channel to vision through, they're coming back, transferring the knowledge through my eyes to physicality of the existence of what I see. Then you understand, man has always been in touch with the totality of the universe. It's us who has chosen, we just filter the physicality, we still let process the rest in the back. And in so many ways it explains why the brain of the man is so big and is such a big recording of everything. Because it's not just recording what you see with the eye of physicality, it's recording to what is happening with the eye of the soul of the man, with the rest of the souls. And he has to remember it, because same as you remember you've been to Africa 20 years ago and you saw the lion, he has to remember has been into the other universe and he's seen such a thing, because the other souls which is in touch with have been there and they want to discuss something. So man has lived a life of schizophrenic, but he has never known. And as I say, the word schizophrenic does not exist. It's a beautiful people, then you understand it's a beautiful soul. Soul of the physicality and the soul of the universe which exists within the soul of the man. Maybe now we can start going to the next step and understanding, with creating these portholes, are we creating the portholes for the soul of the creatures of the universe, which becomes visible to the soul of us, not to the physicality of us? Or we still want to be in the fantasy world of building a spaceship to see the dimensions of universe? It is very strange how we choose this. And it's very strange how man has not seen this dimension of life. Now it is here. Is in a way, as messengers of universe, we are there to enlighten. We, the furniture, the chair and the television has always in the room. We just put the switch the light on, that you can see it is there. Now we open a new understanding, and then in so many ways When you say, I had a premonition, knew this is going to happen, I've seen this before and now it's happened. Ask yourself a question. Did the soul, through the dimensional portal of the eye of the man, has already seen it? You just come to see it in the dimension of physicality. Or has created it for you to see the consequences of it. Now, it's very much the truth. Does the oxygen crosses the lung of the man and oxygenizes the blood? Or the truth and the reality that now we know is only the energy which is converted in the lung of the man, which is the strength of the hemoglobin red cells of the lung or the blood of the man, that shows itself as recharging. Which one is true? We've been shown so many systems that confirms that the oxygen crosses, or we understand there is nothing more than the switch of the light tuner. The more you put, the lighter it gets, but actually no buckets or coal from the power station has come into the power line. This is the beauty about when you understand the totality of the creation. And as messengers of God, it's our responsibility to enlighten. It's for man to take the step and to confirm, to understand, and take actions by it due to the pleasure of it, not through the punishment of it. The time of punishment is finished. Those who still choose the path of punishment, those are the thieves of the soul of the man. Now, it's for man to understand why and how and the reason for what we call the sight of the man. The sight of the man is a communication line, a transformation line, which covers both bandwidth. The dimension of the soul, in conjunction with the operation of the universe, or the condition of the interaction with the dimension of physicality. And it transfers and translates both lights at the same time, and it sends it to the same pigeonhole which is relevant to it. And now man has to understand this. Then the portholes we make will see through the eye of the soul, not through the eye of physicality. And this is what we delay the construction of these portals, that many men to come to understand. Otherwise it'll be absolute mayhem. Why these things have so many different shapes and which one is the new prophet. I can read your mind because I work on the soul level, and your soul already tells me what the physical side of the brain is working on. So am I becoming a new prophet or a new magician? Now you understand. How much more do we have to teach? And now you understand how close mankind is becoming to the point of detachment from physicality, because now he has a new night vision of the soul. And just because it's dark you couldn't see up to now, now you have given the understanding and the vision of understanding of the totality. The night vision is a totally a new day which never ends. At night you have the night vision, in the daytime you see, but the picture is the same. But at the same time you have to decide, do I keep the night vision and physical dimension of day, or do I start to understand I have, and I have the capability to translate both at the same time? very much like women, multitasking. Man has been a man, only one task, physicality. Now what happened when we become a woman and become multitasking, that we can translate the vision of physicality and we can communicate and translate the vision of the soul at the same time, because they come through the eye of the man. We created, the body has created this to fool the man, and that's why we became so physical. I see, I believe. What about if I manifest myself in the strength of the soul of the mankind, that every man can see the totality soul of the Creator? And then what? Would you all commit suicide in the dimension of physicality? The teaching of today is a turning point for human race, and it's for man to understand. Then, in the depth of space, man decides the position and time and the way he likes to enjoy. You want to put a swimming suit on and go in the depth of the ocean, or you want to put a suit on and go in the dimension of physicality in the depth of the space. The dimension of the soul within the physicality does not change. It still sees through the both dimensions. Doesn't matter what suit you put on. We still have that glass that we can see through. Doesn't matter if you're in space or in the depth of the ocean and which suit you wear. Blessed are those souls who understand the truth. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And again, I'll remind the attendees that you can put your hand up and we can allow you to speak. And we have the panelists here. If someone would like to go ahead with a question, they can do so. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A, but they're not related to the things you've been speaking of yet. So we'll wait on those for a bit.
You will understand these teachings of today especially will fit into the structure and the teachings of Buddha and Taoism. Because they look through the eye of the soul of the man, not through the eye of physicality of the man. Where in Abrahimism, they look through the eye of the physicality, they're punishing it, not through the soul of the man to see the dimension of the creation. And now you understand why there is so much emphasis to work within the structure of Chinese community. Because they will bring the knowledge through to mankind through understanding of the truth, not in the dimension of physicality, which always been bounded with punishment, suffering, and being short of. This, the teachings from now on, it brings you to one point. In Taoism, in Buddhism, or in Chinese culture, we call it Yin and Yin. In the body of the man, we call it the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man. And to live in harmony, the two have to be sharing equal. And then when you get to that point, there is no dimension of it except being the light. In so many ways, one exists out of the other, but one confirms the existence of the other. And we will see a rapid growth in the East because of the understanding of the soul, the interaction of the equal balance. We will have a lot of problem with the West because to transfer, to cross the line of physicality, to understand the condition of non-tangibility is very hard because there is no punishment with it and it cannot be. There cannot be a life without suffering, otherwise we are not Christians, we are not Muslims, and we are not Jews. And the start of the unification of mankind with the universe will bring its own problems for both understanding and path of what we call comprehension. But what I see, the West will bleed because itself has buried itself in the dimension of physicality and not understanding of the totality. And that will be a very hard line to cross. Because those who abuse the soul of the man, like the church, like the mosques, like the what I call synagogues, now have come clean to explain that we are like you, we are all the same and no different. Then there is no priest, and there is no one, but we are the priest of our own soul. This is going to be a huge step, and in fact relies on the truth of these religious leaders on themselves, now that they know the truth. And then it comes, is my action, is the abuse of another soul and physicality, or has been the cause of? And then you'll see the flock of understanding the totality will come in the hand of the individuals, not structured to abuse the individuals. Do you have any questions?
Yes, we have a number of questions here. Stefania would like to know more about, if you can explain more about this idea of multitasking. Does that mean that I can be present in the physical life at the same time, the soul level?
What do you mean I can't? You always have been, you're not aware of it. It's like saying, I'm with the mother and she feeds me, but does she love me? Did she ever love me? It's the mother. Of course it does, it created you. It's you who had that doubt. But doesn't matter if you're sitting next to her or you're away from her, the love is the same. You have the same feeling and emotion. So in a way it's you who has made that separation, not the reality.
Okay, thank you. Valerie asks, can I ask my soul to heal my physical body?
Ask your physicality why the soul has put you in this position, not the other way around. This is the question. We are looking in a dimension that we got ourselves into and blaming for others that it put us in this position. Then you'll find the answer.
Okay, thank you. Bente asks, why do we need a spaceship when we have no physicality in space?
We gave you both options. Would you like the donkey? Or would you like to go with the Rolls Royce or a jumbo jet? Or travel within the freedom of the fields of the universe? Now the option is open in all direction and dimensions.
Yes, and maybe we could ask ourselves what happened to the last time we tried to go to space without the spaceship. Did
We
we
couldn't
leave our...
because we used the physicality to do it. We didn't travel with the dimension of the soul of the spaceship. It's
Right.
a big difference. It's a very big difference. I see Arizona, John has become very playful, but he goes everywhere and he goes nowhere, because the difference between dimension of the physicality of the soul and physicality, the soul of physicality, has not been understood. Arizona has a huge problem in this, and I see it. I saw videos this morning, and I just say, bless his soul, he works very hard, he tries to, but the difference between the soul of physicality and soul of the man has not been understood. Knocking on the wrong door does not mean you'll end up in the same house. This is when you set up to build a spaceship that carries the soul of the man. Remember the condition that the soul of the man was created, the way it was created, the condition, the environment, and the position. And it's the same across the universe. There is no difference between the womb of the mother and the womb of the universe for creation of the soul. Macro and the micro is exactly the same. And man does not understand. None of the Keshe Foundation supporters up to now have crossed that line. And in fact, it's been really in front of all of you. But in the new space system which we are developing, that has been put into, because as I said, this time I'm building the spaceship. The boat of Noah is in my hand, and they'll carry the totality, as I am the Noah. You have to understand every point before you can have a ship that it can sail the oceans of the universe. And it has to have enough that it can feed the bird, the lion, and the man, that in that boat they don't eat each other, and they don't kill each other, and they live in harmony. In so many ways, the boat of Noah, in another translation, has come as when the lamb and the lion eat, sleep in the same nest. It's the same ship, because if the lion decides to run around in the ship, there'll be no animals left, because he'll eat all. And that lion is the man. Is the man who has to understand the dimension of physicality, has no need for essence of physicality to consume. Then this lion of the man will be tamed enough to live with the lamb of the universe. This is our problem. In every way, the message has been hidden for man to understand, but somehow man puts it to everything else except himself. We say in Farsi, we talk to the wall for the window to listen, or for the door to hear. We've done enough talking to the wall, and the window and the door have no ear to listen, because they're busy with their own structure of being too busy to look outside. The maturity comes in understanding the existence or coexistence, both physicality and the soul in the same position, in the same dimension. And to what extent you want to manifest yourself in a dimension of physicality of the space and time, and not the truth about the time and the space of the soul itself.
Mr. Keshe, we have a question from Jan that I think is probably common to many people. Um, why will the Creator not interfere when the human beings who are created in the image of the Creator, when they behave in a poor manner? Is the consciousness, which is the wireless connection between the man and the Creator, interrupted in some way?
No, it's between the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. Don't blame the poor creator. You got a problem in the dimension of physicality. Don't blame him. The soul is perfect.
But the Creator doesn't interfere with the affairs of the physicality in a way.
He has to learn. Do you know how many trillions of the souls and physicality live across this universe? You think the whole thing is apparatus of its own division to its own self. I reveal something very clear, and those of you who are of the path of Christianity will understand. What do you say? The Father? What's the next one, Rick?
Pardon me? The Father, the Son,
Yes.
and the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
Holy Ghost?
Holy Ghost. That ghost is the soul of the man, the Son is the physicality of the man, and the Father is the creator. And there is no misconnection between the Father and the Holy Ghost, or the soul of the man. The problem comes when the Son becomes to confirm its existence in front of the Father, which is the creator of the soul, what we call the Holy Ghost. And the poor soul has to answer to the Father what the Son or the grandson is doing to all the job which has been done before in the operation of the physicality of the man. In the time, the messengers could not explain this to man, so they had to hide it somewhere. Where is the Holy Spirit? It's the soul of the man. Nothing else, nowhere else. The Father is the creator. And the soul of the man is the child. And when it comes to the dimension of the physicality, which is the Son, then he decides what to do. There is a, oh, I said this before, there's a beautiful story about the father of the Shah of Iran, when the soldiers went to him and they said, we don't get paid, we have no money, nothing, the soldiers are not getting paid, and at the bottom rank. The Shah brings all the soldiers and the generals into the, what we call the military yard, in a very heavy snow, and he walks and he makes a very big snowball. And he gives the snowball to the top general next to him. He says, when you feel you cannot hold it anymore, give it to the next one next to you. And being polite and trying to show they are very, very good, they play with it. And somewhere down the line, suddenly there is no more snowball because it's all melted. And the soldier then says, what happened to us? He said, this is what it is. I give everything. In between, it's taken and it's changed and it comes nothing to you. And this is the body of physicality of the man. Man decides to live with the crumbs and nothingness, but the Creator has created the totality. It's the soul which is pure, it gives. It's the physicality which plays till it melts and there is nothing, and then it blames the Creator and the soul. In the vision of the physicality of the man, those who understand and those who see through the soul of the man to the dimension of physicality, when the soul receives and becomes as part of the dimension or tries to become part of the soul, the change of the color of the eye. And this happens in the time of creation, when the man has to open the eye of the physicality from the womb of the mother, and the time of when the soul finds no interference through the eye of the man through the dimension of physicality at the point of departure from the physicality. The soul of the man leaves the body of the man through the eye of the man at the point of death. Because this is the way he always has come and gone, he knows the door. In the future, when the man becomes to understand more, he will develop systems that it will show. And the man will understand more. Is the what we call the least path of friction, you call it, that it creates the dimension of escape. So in a way, when the soul of the man opens up this path, and at the point of departure, to in a way to amalgamate between the balance fields of the universe, the translucent light will create and manifest itself at the point of departure. But man has to become aware of the time and the space and how. He cannot capture it and say, I captured the soul. But you can be aware of its existence and the field forces of it. It's not the energy which suddenly explodes at 18 Hiroshima bomb, but it's a subtle departure of the totality of the field to the least path of departure, which is through the eye of the man. Man will understand this more and more as we teach. I think today we have explained something that has changed, and we have reached the totality soul of all the created things on this planet with the teaching of today. We will see the change and evolution in the direction that we want from now on. As I always say, when we teach, we do not need to use the word, but our vibration of the fields of our soul touches the totality, the soul of all the created, not on this planet, but on those who are there to learn and to be enlightened. We will see the change. As I said, we have started the change because it's taken too long. Millions of years to change is too long. Now we change. We have brought the change, we have set the foundation, and we change with the man, that through the conduct of the man will change with the rest of the creatures on this planet. We have, in so many ways, brought everything together in a beautiful way. Be it from the leadership, be it from the man, be it from the science of the man, be it from understanding of the knowledge of the creation. The, the time is right and the time is now. And this now for us is not this second, it's the process that we have started to change. And more and more of you will understand, and more in time of creating what we call these ports or portals or portals of interaction and communication, will become a point for man to become wise. We still go to work every day because what are we going to do? Sit at home all day? But this time when we go to work, in time to come, it's just something to make something that the others will be happy, not for me to have a wage to have something, because I can create and have something, everything I want. It's going to be a very strange life. You got to realize these big cities, these factories, these building of machinery to kill each other the way it is, was not there 100 years ago. We created it and we can walk away from it now that we understand. But there are those who try to push us into conformity to confirm their existence. But at the same time, the totality of our knowledge can change the soul. And we don't need to.
Mr. Keshe, we have a couple people that have had their hands up here. We had Arno. Arno, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everyone. When I start working with this, what you called portals, with my eye, I first did it with people who have passed away. Then I start programming their feeling inside me, and then their face become like a jacket, and I pull them on as a jacket, and then they are in me too, and then I can communicate with emotion. And it's for me very hard to translate it to words, but it will come in time. But I want to share this because this is how what you mean with portals. I feel it, and I want to share it because then everybody understands how they can start teaching themselves to feel the others and then becoming them, and then you be part of them, and then you interact. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Each one of us will experience this in different ways. Man gradually will start going back to the memory of the physicality and the memory of the soul. Because always been there, but we didn't know how to tap into. And then in how and to what extent we allow it to come and to be accepted by us, as it goes back to always I said, we take from this technology according to our intelligence. In a way, we accept the understanding of there has been another recording of our lives all the time with us, but we were not aware of. It's like, put it in a bracket, there has been a spy in the cap. We thought we're taking a film from what is happening, but in fact we were getting filmed ourselves in respect what we are doing in the whole structure. In respect to the others that are in a way being with us, but we are not aware of. So each one of us will experience this in a different way. Now that we are, and slowly people will start gathering to understand. The teachings of the Keshe Foundation, my teachings, in the next 12 months will come across every man on this planet. It's been said. It's not the obscurity that we've been. We chose to complete the teaching, that when it comes into the totality, it will be done and accepted by totality in one go. The whole process is just like you're in a research program and you fine tune and you make everything perfect, and then you bring the car and you exhibit. This is the new invention, new car. But in fact, bunch of engineers and technicians and scientists have developed this car. You as knowledge seekers have been those engineers. And the car is nearly complete. And it's time to open the show and bring it into open. And then when it comes, everybody wants to have that. And the knowledge is complete. Transcribers, the teaching of all of you, the health actions, or what is being done by different research centers, is all has been part of bringing this, what I call, vehicle to be ready. It's not like I am in that seat and hammer it because I know. We've seen the mistakes of the past. So you will understand 2019, as we said, is the car is now getting fine-tuned. the fine tuning is that many of you will start understanding the operation of the soul. Then you are ready to show. You know, when you go to a show and you show a new car, it's not standing there. You bring the engineers, you bring the designers to explain the beauty of the shape, how they imagined it to be and how they developed it. The engineer is there to tell you how he tuned it and why it's got 6 cylinders and 2 cylinders are working backwards because you get a better efficiency. The other one is there to explain the shade of the colors they use. You're part of that engineering structure and you never understood what we done with you lot. And the car is just getting ready. But all of you have to speak the same language about the same car. Otherwise, we go to a show and we are showing a Rolls Royce, one is speaking about the Mini and the other one is talking about Ford. Now you understand. Is what we call a collective understanding. And when it comes, it'll start in phases. It's not that it's going to be suddenly all lamps and everything changes. We have to go through the process. Governments have to go through the initiation of understanding there is no more war. We have said to that. In the coming weeks, you will see the Keshe Foundation has achieved the structure of world peace. We don't disclose it because then we see more people creating problems. But the structure of the world peace, one planet is already set. It's been signed to, physically signed, it's finished. It's just now fine-tuning everything else. The operation of one planet, one nation, one race has already kicked in. Another 6 months, maybe less. It depends how much we can hold it away till everybody is ready to get to the show. Then we'll show the car. We show the soul of the man. And then we'll see the conversion. It's no good me forcing you. It's good for you to feed yourself. Then you feed what you want, and then you understand we all eat from the same pot and same plate. So when you explain the vision, this is what I saw. Every one of us, those of the people around the foundation who were looking to build up the factories, we still push. I said to Arman this morning, I said, my work is not to build factories. My work is to change the soul of the mankind. But if it's there to build factories because there are things to be done, okay, we have to be busy, we keep busy, but the process cannot stop. I read yesterday, I wrote, when the process started, to Caroline yesterday, and I read it in the other private teaching, in a very simple way, that in so many ways, I'm so glad I came here to work with such a beautiful nation and government. This is a Chinese nation. The peace will come when the yin and yang and belief in creation and Abrahism will come together to work in balance. Iran and China. The extreme of Taoism to extremes of religion in Abrahism, working through the space program of the spaceship, will bring humanity to balance. We brought the knowledge 11 years ago to Iran. And now we balance it with China. And if you look at the setting of the Cybro, is China, Iran, is to bring the balance at the beginning, that the rest to be balanced. We know what we are doing. It's just that covering the sugar with a slightly different test, that when the sugar comes, you don't all throw everything away and just stick to the honeypot. Because the honeypot will be here forever. But man has to understand what mistakes is paid and made, and for it to change. My work, as I said, is well planned, well designed, and it'll be translated and acted upon. Because it's not just one teaching of 259 or 260. It's the teaching of the totality, that there is no numbers, but it's taken so long to bring the education and to get educated. You got to understand something very simple, that if we would have brought this technology and this knowledge even 30 years ago, mankind was not ready that all of them benefit by it the same way. That there shall not be no inequality, all these had to be equal. And we brought the knowledge of what you call communication, internet, radio, television, the way I'm talking to you across this planet, to be able to deliver that this time everybody gets the same thing. We never left man alone. We just brought man to be in the position where when the message comes, the totality understands. Look in the depth of Amazon, look in the White House. They all carry a mobile phone made in China. Be it the Apple, blah blah, or anything else. But now they all get the same message. They all can up and listen and be enlightened. We've seen it, how Dr. Gatwa has shared the knowledge with the depth of Africa. And the man can stand in front of the camera and speak, the same as does the President of the United States. He explains how the water has achieved, and the other one explains how he makes a wall that the water does not flow. I wonder which one is more intelligent. This is what it is. We could not bring this knowledge and the science, not even 2 years earlier. Everything is set. Everything is well planned. And if you think you got to this knowledge the way it is, partially you're done, because we know the habit of the man. He will do this, monkey see, monkey does, so it's easy. But getting a speaker and going on a spaceship and talking to the whole human race that the God has come and is there, we are here because the spaceship would have never worked. You still carried on killing each other like rabbits. But now, for the first time, mankind is there to understand, to change the soul of totality. Couldn't we just change the soul of the man without all this? There is a problem. The sun is absolutely has its own soul, which is very hard to tame. But this time, the soul of the man will tame the sun. But everybody understands. Within half an hour of teaching, finishes today, Dr. Gatwa starts teaching in Kenya. Immediately. Partially part of the teachings, partially explaining the basic. Very soon people get tired of taking it. We took the water, now what is next, Dr. Gatwa? Can you water our soul? Or Dr. Gatwa goes to the next step to teach the Africans that this is what it is, I gave you the water, but this is what's doing. Why are you feeling good? Because I touch your soul. And then the structure comes. This is what a lot of people don't understand, and I keep on saying you don't understand because truly man have not understood what we done with you, or we have used your bad habits to make and put it right. We have used the greed of the man to bring man to the point that nothing satisfies him except greed to elevate his soul, and then we got him. And we are getting to that point. All the wealth, one man creating 150 billion, the trillion, the richest man on earth, and 150 million dying of hunger. I didn't come here to build up factories, but the presence confirmation of the products and MAGRAF systems and things was to show it works. It's there. You use a MAGRAF system, you use a field system, and the way man has innovated, and you all innovate new things out of it to more and more confirm the correctness of what I say, the more it brings the reality that it's true. It's time for change. Any other question?
Yes, we've had Thomas with his hand up for a while here. If you want to go ahead, Thomas.
Thanks, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Thomas from Winnipeg, Canada. How are you?
Still alive.
That's
in
great
the
to hear.
dimension of physicality. Even you Canadian tried to kill me for 11 days, we still forgive you.
We're sorry on behalf of all of us here for that incident. Well, yeah, I've been interacting with the fields my whole life. I'm only 28, and my first vision was when I was 12 years old, and I almost died that weekend. And I saw a vision that I physically saw 10 minutes prior to. And what's going on this planet right now, from what I've been shown, is that the Earth's going to be going through some changes. And you've mentioned this in the past as well. And just recently, scientists have measured the magnetic pole shifting rather speedily than usual. And I'm just wondering if the portals you are planning on are going to help initiate this transition that the Earth is moving on to?
Not really. This pole transformation happens all the time over millions of years. It's not the first time. If, as I said, those of you who understand geology, the scientists can, by digging the earth layers, can tell you when the pole changed. The change of polarity will not change anything, because the body of the man is made of plasma condition. We just transform into it to a new same thing. In a way, if you want an answer to it, it's very simple. The sun, which is the creator of this planet, changes its polarity every 11.5 years. Do we see man changing? Because don't forget, Einstein came up with something called the funny things. When one atom changes, the other one changes polarity. When you move one north to south, the other one changes south to north. So in so many ways, we are used to this polarity changing dimension of our creator, which is the sun, which is more powerful than us on this planet. So change of polarity will not change anything, because we are in a condition of the plasma. We are not in a condition of the magnet that we have to twist. Every structure of the man, when the polarity of the sun changes, it changes automatically. You're not aware of it. Every 11.5 years, 23 years, we have a full cycle from north to south, south to north. How many of us change? Why should be any difference when the earth changes? It'll be the same. If we were a solid matter magnet, yes, we'll flip open, we'll walk on our head. But unfortunately or fortunately, we are plasmatic condition of the structure. So as it flips, nothing will happen. We might feel a little bit of discomfort on the day, but it happens over so many hundreds of years that I think our great grandfather felt the first motion, and then our great grandson will feel the final position for this cycle. Just always be realistic and understand the totality. Then you don't need to assume or listen to those who just try to confirm something which is not there. The polarity of the earth, yes, it will change, it has to go through. We see it in our reactors. I've explained it in the books, in the papers we published. The first time happened with the first reactor we built. It was amazing, it was shocking, I couldn't understand. The thing stopped, it will not move. I thought I burned the motor, I did this to it, I did everything, and I sit there, what have I done wrong? And the thing starts rotating again. But before it was going clockwise, now it's going anti-clockwise. Why? What did I change? I changed nothing. And the field forces of it are so huge, if you try to obstruct it, we cannot obstruct the change of the polarity. If you go back in some of the teachings, you'll find I've shown the first metal reactor we built in Belgium. It damages pin because of the strength of the magnetic field forces. I had to straighten it, and again it happened. And to confirm that the magnetic field forces are so strong that this ball, which weighed what, 1 kilo or so, and stainless steel twisted on its pin. Because as we cannot do, but the ball was in a matter state, it had to go through the change. But the body of the man is in the plasma condition. Now we know it, so all it is, it'll change. So what? But sometimes this change attracts and interacts with other entities which are of the matter state in the universe. Would this polarity change attract new meteorites towards the Earth? Because now it's a different, a slightly different strength. It's not always the same strength. Or do we see a slightly different color of the sky? Because of the change of polarity, now the fields are rotating. If you run reactors, and some of you, if you run dynamic double core reactors, you see this very clearly in all the experiments, and it's very clear. But we run a matter state. In plasmatic condition, especially what, for example, we saw with Austrian, the fluid rotation, if they create the second, as I said last time, magnetic flow in the plasmatic condition, you will see the water will change the direction of its rotation because of the field forces on the central plasma or the soul of the water. Will it change anything in the construction of the water? No. It's just that the field forces will convert. But would it touch the soul of the man? In some ways it does.
I was more wondering about the actual, just the coincidence of these earth changes that you've mentioned that are coming in the near future, and sort of this pole shift, is one preceding the other, and
it's just coincidental, but it's been there. We are late by the transformation of the change of the polarity of the planet by a few hundred years. Should have happened some time ago according to the cycle. And does the change of polarity attracts, creates a new condition to pull new structures, and we see the rise in the motion of the meteorites and asteroids towards Earth, or actually move some of them away from hitting us. It does affect, it does work, and it's part of it. Because you got to realize when the sun changes polarity, the whole structure within the solar system changes. so we don't see much difference. But when the Earth changes its polarity, it affects the field interaction with other entities which are smaller than itself in its environment. At the matter state, which is reflects to it, because Earth has two combinations of the magnetic gravitational of the plasma of center core and the inertia of the matter state. And if the dimension of matter state of the change at the point of the change of the central core matches with another entity, it's like a magnet, it interacts to it. It's literally become like a virus. It chooses and it comes. And there are a lot of studies done by scientists which are not valid in so many ways. Part of it is that we see very much time and coincidence of the change of polarity with certain activities on this planet in respect to interaction with the rest of the what we call solar system.
There also is another alignment that we did just go through on a cosmic scale, which was the galactic alignment in 2012, December the 21st. And now there's this birth of this new way of life now because of what you're bringing forth as well. And I'm just wondering, is that also a coincidence?
I don't know, I'll ask. But what is important is if you open your knowledge and understand, and as the polarity of the sun changes, polarity of the galaxies changes. We see it in the coming time when there are what we call cosmologists become more knowledgeable, they will see it. It's the same structure. And that structure creates sometimes conditions which are not there, and it creates it. But sometimes we see changes and directions in the whole of the structure of the universe. And it's because the structure and the condition of the polarity of other universes which are on this planet. So the other universes change, and as they change their polarity, affect us as in this universe. Doesn't matter how many trillions of stars are in there, our universe in the unicosmos is a speck of dust, even though we think it's very big. When a man becomes knowledgeable in the dimension, the strength of the soul, then becomes part of the universe. He can travel the span of the universes. In time, man will achieve that. Some men have already achieved that in the past. It's not that just because it's now, always have been. Those who are enlightened to the depths of the knowledge of the creation did not have to have a degree as a professor, as a doctor. Unfortunately, in the University of the Soul of the Man, there is no certification.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Any other, shall we call it a day? Actually, can we ask Dr. Klaus if he's managed to?
Yes. Hello, there's a big interference. Klaus, we're getting a noise issue. No, we can't hear you. There's a buzzing going on. There's a strong buzzing, Klaus. Try a different microphone or.
Is it better now?
Ah, yes, that's way better.
It was not a buzzing, it was a reactor we have running here. So we just switched it off for you.
So, can you explain to us what's that reactor?
Rick, I would like to start my video, but it says you can't start.
No, we don't let you start because you haven't explained what was that reactor do. Right, keep him off it. We can explain.
We just switched it off. It was one of the reactors we are experimenting with.
What is that reactor doing? What's the purpose of it? What are you doing with it?
a reactor in the experimental state is the one where we try to establish constant plasma light.
Are you using motors or non-motor systems?
Non-motors. We throw out all the motors we had in the lab. So
so now we are. Oh, you understood the message. That's good. Now, explain to me something very simple. Switch the motor back on.
Okay, just a moment.
Switch it off. So you have no motors running. This is the plasmatic interference.
Okay, it's off again. Now it's off.
So this is a plasmatic interference. You're not creating any motor running in the background that we have an engine interference.
No, there is not a single motor running here.
Okay, good morning to American government. And now you know how you lost your rules.
Good morning.
Good. Now, what will be interesting, interference through the plasma technology into line of the communication has been achieved some years ago, as we all know, covered in the different disguises. But now, accidentally, you see it physically at this, we hear it here. It is, there are a lot of advantages in doing this. And in so many ways, as I said, it's time to enlighten, and then you show it and you come on it and it's there. What is interesting is how much can you run this?
How much in terms of what?
In terms of strength.
This is what we constantly try to increase the compressed fields. So this is what we're working on. I can't tell you any value, but
okay.
The compressed.
You have a machine, you receive the machine, you should be able to do.
Yes, we talked about it earlier today in the morning, and we're gonna set it up and measure it with it. Then we can tell you.
Let me explain, as we explain a lot of things. The Austrian lab has received the system we use for 129 detection of the fields, because they're going that way. It's very hard to understand how the system works. So when they give data, or we can more or less accurately bandwidth some of the strength fields. So this is what Klaus is talking about. The system we used some 4 or 5 years ago now has come back into use to actually measure all these fields, what's coming, what's going, what is the strength of the plasma flow without the motors anymore, and what is the strength of the soul of the system. In due course they will explain. What about if you turn up another system, or is it the only system you have at the moment?
Interestingly, the systems we just delivered to the people we had running 2 days ago, there is an interesting story, because we delivered 3 of the portable field units, and we ran all the 12 reactors of the units in a circle around the reactor you just were feeling or we're talking about, and the field increased enormously. We more or less created in a compressed field another compressed field, and for me there was a very shocking message, because when I went into the field, I looked at my hand and I saw a kind of smoke coming out of my hands. And interestingly, this was the first time in my life I've been in that kind of compressed field. And my first reaction was, emergency, it's hot, you're burning yourself. And I just jumped 50 centimeters to the left, and I tried to save my hand. But it was, of course, cool. Everything was cool, and it were the fields which became visible. Maybe just for me, I don't know if this experience is around. Uh, it was interpreted as a smoke, as a strong smoke, which came out of my hand, and it was
Did you smell any burning?
no.
Yeah, you don't have any hair on your skin. You could burn. You could smell.
No, there's no burning. Everything was cool. Everything, there was no temperature. I mean, there is the smell a bit of the reactor when we establish the lights. There is a specific smell, but this does not have anything to do with heat.
Okay, what do you mean by establishing the light?
Establishing the light is what is our common aim, to establish a constant plasma light, best of course without having any sources of plasma devices. This is our aim, which we carry in ourselves, and this is what we are here for. But we only have currently the possibility to go step by step to this state, because there is something which needs to be considered. If we increase from day to day the fields to more compressed fields, we have to follow as people, as humans, and adapt to these fields. Because what happens is that we are constantly discharging all emotions which are not in balance from ourselves, which is more or less a process of releasing the filters in our head around the soul and increasing the space gap and of ourselves. And we found out that this process, maybe it's just with us in our group like this, does not work from today to tomorrow. It's a process we are all in, and we need to go through as a whole group. And this is why we go step by step to this to the state, constantly releasing more and more meta-state help, which means power supplies or whatever we are using, in order to come to the state of having, and this is our vision established, a plasma light without any meta state, without any meta state around. And this is the process we are currently going and moving. And we also needed some time to set the common aim, because if people meet, this is in all countries, everywhere, it's the same. They follow sometimes different targets. They have different aims. They have different intentions. And this intention was something we needed to synchronize in order to go forward a next step, in order to break down a new barrier and open a new door. And this is the process we are currently in.
Yeah, so can you explain to us what you're going to show us today?
Yes, today, Rick, can I open the video?
I think you should be able to now.
Can you see me? My video is open.
We see a gray screen. Do you have the correct camera selected? Check your Zoom camera. I think you've got one that's blanked out.
Oh, it's blocked again. Let me just restart the video, please.
Okay.
Everything playing crazy currently here. Just a moment, please.
see something there now. White screen, and I saw a hand fly by. Oh, there you are.
Oh, thanks God. Okay. What I asked to show you today is something very specific, because as I said before, as in a constant process of trying to discharge all our emotions, in order to remove all the filters inside of our head, inside of us, we are trying all together to reconnect or to find back to a state most probably we have been already in the past, or whatever time we choose. And as soon as you start building devices, as soon as you start building reactors, you always come across of finding out how to measure the fields and how to work with the fields. Because you would like to know, have you been successfully set up a system? Do you have any leakages inside the system? Do you have anything, would you like to improve something? And this is, of course, we all would like to improve always, to increase the field strength, to create more and more compressed fields. And one of these tools we are using here are, as they are called, the mirrors. And mirrors are nano-coated copper plates. But nano-coated copper plates, this sounds very simple because these copper plates are nano-coated in a way where we need 2, 3, sometimes even longer to create these plates or these compressed fields. And what I found out, this is a personal story, is when I was working with these mirrors, with these strong compressed fields, they gave, like a lot of other plasmatic devices, or most probably all of them, they give us the opportunity in order to connect with the brain and to discharge the emotions which are not in balance. I mean, this happens automatically also if you plug in a MAGRAF, or if you plug in a plasma power unit, if you plug in or if you create any ganses. In this case, we found out that the mirrors give us good opportunity, a good support in order to speed up this process of recharging, not recharging, of letting go and discharging all the gravitational fields we have too much around us. And as soon as we're going into the work with the fields, as soon as we discharge, as soon as we break down the barriers, we very slowly are able to feel again the fields around the reactors, around the ganses, around the balls, or around whatever we create. And when we went the path in order to create these reactors, we used, and we still use, these mirrors in order to test what we have done and to improve the systems. And we were asked to show and even to put it on the shop that they can be ordered. But I have to say, these are not products we can produce in a mass. These we need 2, 3, sometimes longer months, because 30, 35, 40 times they go through a specific nano-coating process. And as soon as we feel that they got the right compressed strong field, then there is more or less the green lights that they are finished and that they can go out. So currently we have 2, 3 pairs of them. We started them some months ago, and the first one's gonna be finished in about 3, 4 weeks. So 2, 3 pairs would be available. We were asked to show this today because we said, is anyone, should we go online public with this? But as soon I showed it in another teaching, and this is why we decided to also put it on a shop. So this is a beautiful tool.
How much?
Price?
Yes.
For a pair, €1,000. And for us, this is far too less, because you are working so many hours on it, and they are a piece of art. And we can't produce them in mass. We can, like we are running currently, as a combination of production and research. We currently can produce maybe 2-3 pairs in 1-2 months. But mainly, I wanted to show it as an instrument, as a tool, working, especially when you're creating them, getting to know the nano-coating process, the fields better, and using it as an educational tool. These are beautiful educational tools in order to work with the fields. And as
Can I ask you a question, Dr.
Yes.
Klaus? Put on that machine which was making the noise. You're the
Okay.
noise maker.
Can you switch it on again, please? So 3, 2, 1.
Try to use this unit around your microphone and see if you can interfere with the noise. Be careful you don't touch your heart. Hang it somewhere. Okay, can we see if you can interfere with it? No, switch the noise on. Become white. We lost you.
Yes, it's everything on. We didn't change anything.
Can you take that microphone off and put your disk down and switch the machine off? Switch the noise making machine off.
Machine is off.
So now where the picture has gone to?
It's back now.
It might there is an electronic switch which switches between this visualizer and the camera, and this electronic switch seemed to be activated by the field somehow.
Yes, that's what I want to tell you, show you something. Put it again, try it again. Let's see if it repeats itself. Put the camera down, the microphone down in this place again. Repeat the same process. Science has to be repetitive, but then we'll see what it is. You had the 2 discs, okay? Now, can we have the noise on, please?
Can you switch it on, please?
Now you can understand how. Can you switch back off again?
Okay, switch off, please.
I want to show you. I want to explain something. They're back again. So, okay, keep the microphone there. Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch. Put it here. So now, try to see if you keep the discs far away from the microphone. It's still the same gap. See, this is a life science. Where is your other disc?
Here are the 2 discs.
The 2 discs, okay. Keep them as far as you can in your hands, but the microphone to be in the center. Come forward to the microphone. Come forward to the microphone, and keep it. Open your arms, but the microphone to be in the center. And if you look at it, is the interaction between the 2. Open your arms further and further out. Go as far as you can, as you're flying. Yeah. Okay. What I want you to do is switch that system on and bring that hand together to see if somebody can switch back on again the picture.
This one.
No, start with the noise first. No, stop.
The
Start
system
the
is
noise. Is the noise there?
Yeah.
Okay, bring it close. Bring it close. Bring it closer. Now you see. Okay, go back out. Open your hand. Don't do anything. Just go back. Open your arms.
Okay.
Switch the machine off. Switch the noise-making machine off. This, can you go back?
Shall I change manually the picture?
Yes, change manually.
Okay.
Okay, we see the shadow white on it. Put these two discs totally away somewhere on the other side of your lap. Not here, not nearby.
Take some time.
Yeah, no problem. See you tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
there we.
Now, switch on the noise-making machine and see if we lose the picture again.
Can you switch it on? It's lost.
Switch it back on. The system you carry has nothing to do with the two discs you have. The machine you carry is what is known as a frequency jammer, plasmatic frequency blocker. But at the same time, you still hear commands, you still hear the voice, but you switch at certain frequency settings. This is the end of the military warfare. This is how, when I said we make metal birds out of aircraft and the bathtubs out of the what we call aircraft carriers. This is what is the beginning of the change of science. No interference, it's just matter of plasma transfer. But you can use the same thing to feed the man. Here we hear the noise. In the process, when you go further, this is why, if you remember 3-4 weeks ago before Christmas, I said to you, you went backwards into the matter state and going forward into the plasma state. This is where we need to be. And in that process, it's a very easy demonstration how easily you can take command. But how easily you can show that you can transfer energies in your core, that you feel filled up, you feel no cancer. How far is the core from you, what is running?
For 6 meters.
Pardon?
About 6 meters.
About 6 meters. Is it mobile? Can you move it 20 meters away and still have the same sound?
No, definitely not. We
It's
can make
just-
it mobile, but not now.
Okay. So what is interesting is you see this is part of the space technology, which now we can be physically shown. Non-motor reactors have been operational for a long time. And then you can see the transfer of energy. What you load in that core, the sequence of what you load, will switch over electronics. No missiles can be fired. Now you understand. This is not the electronic jamming, it's the plasma interaction. If it was electronic jamming in a certain length, you most likely wouldn't be able to hear you and everything else with it. And in this way, this is a beautiful time, and the way you've shown it, and what you showed us with the two discs, you can interfere with it up to a length, but it has to be around the computer, not the microphone. That you can block the chip which is found the match of. This is the, what we said, beginning of the end of the war equipment. We can literally jam anything through the plasma, not to jam, but bring it to balance. This is the beginning of disarmament in the matter state. And it's beautiful to see it, to show it in a live presentation, because I've seen this many times before. And congratulations, you've gone back to where you started. You have to be observant in what you see, and what will be interesting to um, to create a condition, very much go back into how you used to produce gases in a salt water, and see how with these field interferences you can transfer the energy of, if you put for example orange into your gases of your dynamic system on the other side, you can taste it in the computer where you put it there now. This is part of the space technology, transfer of energy, food, and everything else.
So this would be perfect for a specific computer brand, not using oranges, but other fruits.
But in a way, it's part of the space technology. Zero-time communication is part of this. This is what I, a few weeks ago, told you, that we have to move back into, what do you call it, non-motor reactors. And if you go back, there is one key element in all the tests which I have deliberately kept away from the work and the teachings, because mankind is not ready for it. But on the other hand, we are developing it to be sure. There's a purpose and time. In a way, if you got a jar next to you with whatever water is in it, uh, if you put the gas water in your what you call dynamic system on the other side where the noise comes from, and you should be able to taste the orange in that tank. And this will confirm the transformation of energy and food. I've done it many times now. It's interesting how it's shown. And maybe it's what I call um, the confirmation of the correctness of detecting any system. You can block off seen, cannot be seen. You can switch the electronics. If you carry on with it at a given strength, it will be irreversible. Because what you do, you change the line of the vision of observation of the camera with your system, not so much with your electronics in your computers. Uh, this is what we understand exactly. I don't want to go. This is what I call, in a space we use this to see ahead of us, because there is no windows, and it will bring us a lot of information. In a way, as we call it in animals, they call it a sonar. This is a plasmatic sonar in the depth of the space. When you travel at a high speed, it brings you back information as fast as it goes. This is what we call a sonar at a space beyond the speed of light. So you can see what's ahead of you. You don't jam it, but you receive it back. Because of its gravitational field as a plasma, will call it back as it goes. You don't need a reflector as the present radar. The reflector of the strength is dictated by gravitational field, the strength of the wave which you send out. When it becomes a certain strength, it returns 100,000 lights away, 50,000 lights away, 100 million kilometers ahead of you, because the field of the plasma travels at the depth and the strength of the whole universe. So this is one of the first times you show it, and then we can explain it. So at the moment when in the present radars, if you want to detect the aircraft, you have to have um, uh, object that can reflect back the radar signal. Then you know what it is. With the plasma technology and in control of the MAGRAV and um, what you call magnetic and gravitational, as now you're going in that way, you can decide how far. That's why I asked you if you can move it further out. Then you see you can control the depth of it. Or you can adjust it. You can bring that computer or the camera in the range or out of the range. In Austria, you're achieving a lot of breakthrough knowledge, but you don't see it because you're looking for something else. But you don't see what is developed. But this is why I push you to go in the direction. Because I know where I want to take it. If I do it, I become a magician. Now you show it scientifically and it works and it's there. Thank you very much for your work and your team. But try to take the two discs you had back to where the system was. It's not, we don't see you, we will not see you. But what will be interesting to see, if you take those two discs around the core where you're making the noise, and if you see, we still get a blackout. Try to face it in the direction that you can cover any signal towards the computer and the camera. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Go and pick up the two discs and cover the reactor.
You want us to do this live?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We are.
Just a moment.
This is a live test. We are knowledge seekers. Tell us when you switch the system on, and then see if you can cover it with the absorption material which you have, and if you can get the signal back. Tell us when you start. Are you ready?
No.
Dr. Klaus has one of the most beautiful labs.
Okay.
What happened? You lost your discs?
No, I couldn't remember where I took them. No, joking.
Okay, go back and cover the core. You don't. We'll listen to
Okay.
see.
No, wait a bit. Switching it. Switch it off again, please. Okay.
Switch it off.
It's too late. Just a moment. We start again. Okay.
You
I go to the reactor.
we see your shadow in different ways when you approach it. Okay, go there and then start.
Okay.
We'll see. But try to block in a way the fields of the plasma from the system.
Okay.
We have to establish if it's the matter frequency or the plasma frequency or plasma fields which stops the field. Start whenever you are ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I try to block and we start the reaction.
Now move it around. Doesn't matter. Move it around. Move it around to see.
Okay.
It,
Let me see the Sorry, we had a little.
we only see the white screen and the noise.
Okay, we start again.
Okay.
Let me just turn the microphone to the other side. Maybe it's better.
This is a live test lab from Keshe Foundation Space Center.
Now we have one researcher less.
Carry on.
Carry on. Okay, we switch on now.
Can you play around the reactor to see if you can get it back? Or is it switching down inside the system? You have to switch it back on or back off.
It switched already. Oh yes, it switched already.
We only have a white screen. Okay. Thank you very much. So you want €1,000 for your two discs. How many discs do you have?
In 3-4 months, there will be 3 pairs, which means 6 of them ready, and the next of them gonna be ready in, don't know, 3 months, 4 months.
So those two discs are unique. Do you want to put in an auction who gives you the highest bid over 1,000 to have it? We play American auction. Doesn't matter, it's there. So, but thank you very much. It's very interesting what you showed.
You're welcome.
Just want to show your fields. What do you call it? You blocked us again. Switch that machine off. Okay. Do you want to show us your plasma field system, which you are selling so good and you're happy with? Can you show it to us, or?
You mean the plasma field unit?
Yeah.
Yes. The portable ones, we don't have one here. We delivered everything 2 days ago, but the big unit, which has the same reactors, is more or less. We use it also for experiments here. So, can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is more or less the system. Most very important is the reactors are the same like the ones at the portable, and these reactors are also the ones which will be delivered to this study, to this project which is started in the German-speaking area on tripods, because these reactors are the portable version on tripods.
We need your microphone with you, please.
Okay. Sorry. So I just said the reactors of the portable unit and of this field unit are exactly the same. There is one, not exactly, mostly the same. There is one difference. We have a controller here at the big system where we can control each and every reactor. And with the mobile system, there is one controller for all the reactors. And built inside, we have the plasma converter and the possibility here to increase and decrease more or less the gravitational fields of the star formation in order to let the system build up magnetical fields, which then can be delivered and which we can connect through also the amino acids inside with the organism of the body or animal which is inside the fields. So far we delivered already some systems and we have beautiful feedback.
Are we creating testimonials as we ask for these feedbacks? We want it in writing.
Yes, it's already started. There are already, since we launched it, there are 5 systems out, and we produced the next lot already. And also the systems which were delivered, which were purchased through the shop, there most of the people tell us they're gonna report back. But what the German-speaking community set up as a project of the Keshe Foundation German-speaking area is that people open their houses, their rooms, and let others go into these rooms for free in order to be in the fields. And therefore, they set up questionnaires. They already set up a mapping of the units, and they all keep in very close communication, which means the first point where it was started, we have already a house where people queue up, and they needed to establish a list who is when sitting between these compressed fields. The feedback was from the system, as soon as you are inside, you feel something. You feel some crippling, like ants under your skin. People feel between the reactors the wind. Some people reported to see the fields around the balls. Others reported that after 8-10 minutes, sometimes longer, certain parts in the body became to react where they already knew their weaknesses, which shows us that the balancing process is very quickly inside these compressed fields. And all these questionnaires gonna be filled out in the next months. We will collect everything. And what we do here, as much as we can, we give out every fourth or fifth unit for free for this project, only for this project, because we received, I don't know how many emails. I would like to have a free unit in this country, in that country, and everywhere. We are not able to establish this that quickly. We have to start with this project now in this area because we can't deliver more of these units for free. But delivering for free set ourselves also free, because as soon as we go the path of giving away and giving to mankind for free, a lot of barriers just broke down and a lot of doors opened, and we received out of nowhere also donations, especially for this project. And so we are able to speed up also the production of these units. And at this stage, I would like to thank everyone who supports this project. And it's beautiful that people just out of nowhere give donations in order to support a network which is constantly growing. And these machines, these fields, these compressed fields, they connect with each other, which means we're gonna create a beautiful field starting here in the German-speaking area across Germany, Switzerland, Austria. And of course, it's the plan to expand it. And the more we get support, the easier, the quicker we can build.
I think the donation you're receiving, people are paying for the free units you give. So it's looking at it that way. But what is interesting is, do you need, or have you tested if you put two people in the same system, that how would the two feel? Would they feel exactly the same? Or if you move them in different positions, you know, one sitting more closer to one side and the other side, would the experience be different?
We have some experience from a meeting we had where knowledge seeker met physically in a location, and they sat inside the system. Some of them were outside the system, but specifically like you described now, I don't have any feedback currently concerning this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
There is nothing else to show. This system is cost, understand, is it 4,999?
The big one, 4,900. The portable one, the sofa surfer, the portable field unit, 1,800.
Okay, so as I said, the same is with the process with the other products from the Austrian research lab. This pays for more research and what we call the expenses of running these research centers. A lot of people need to understand the foundation works on its own basis. If we go out and sell technologies to governments, then we can get paid a lot, but we lose control of the freedom of the knowledge. It's the same with, as I said, with the Ghana, with the PPUs, and there are people from outside who understand goods manufactured by the Keshe Foundation in Austria, Italy, and Accra or Arizona is all guaranteed and stands by the Keshe Foundation work, and we become the certification of our own. In the past we had systems which people say did not work or did not get what they wanted, but we understand everything works. It's just that we don't see it at the level, and we don't understand where the saving comes. Very strange, very recently running magravs in one of the major nations in the world, there was a claim that the system does not work, but unfortunately every time they put a system on, the central station transformers blew up. And it was very coincidental. that our systems, without cascading, were blowing up transformers at the substations, and the central station would not disclose it. Why? But we knew every time we put on, they blow it, so it was obvious we are part of it. And so the system works. We have to find out how to bring the benefit of it back. The systems in cascading is very much like what you see in the frame. The system have to feed the other and get it back. Um, we we are understanding more, and in so many ways, uh, we are exploring more, and in a coming time, very short time, matter of few months, you will see the true non-motorized systems, which they can even tune to every need you have. Hunger, the same system, we can change and transfer it to become the medicine, and the same system we can change as we wish to produce materials. And this is fantastic. You're exactly where I wanted you, but you got to carry on a bit further, Dr. Klaus. It's it's the beginning of the right path, because next step for you in the development has to be to get rid of that green piece is sticking at the end of your reactor. I think you should be able to do it. You already achieved it. Now you have to find a way that that green wire should not be there anymore. I think that's the next step for your expansion of knowledge. Wireless transfer of energy to your systems. You're nearly there. You already achieved a lot of it. Now I know with your team what you got to do is, as you develop the wireless nano coating and wireless energy transfer. Um, I know on the desk you have a system. I've seen it, but you showed it in the last presentations. But I observed things from the camera, but I see you haven't seen what is there. But the next step for you has to be removal of those green and blue wire lines. I think you have a system, you know exactly where to apply it, and the wireless transfer of energy to these balls will bring you one step closer to a lot of different achievements. But you put it this way, you can do something very easy. You know, you were explaining that how you were nano coating the wires from a distance. You said it was achieved. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you have to use that wire by hanging without connecting to receive that energy after nano coating. Then you don't need the extension of the wire transmission. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. And you already achieved this. This is fantastic. But the next step is to get rid of these wires. And you're there. You had the two discs in your hand. If you can translate the conversion to extract the energy from the plates, you're there. Am I clear?
We're already working on it. Yes.
It's beautiful. Thank you very much. And as I said, the systems are there. If you can order them and donate them to, or put them in the houses where people can come and use them and see the difference. As we always said, give the first unit away, the other units come home. If you can afford, and be it in Italy, in Spain, or wherever else, and start placing these in the places where people can find a change. Maybe find a piece that's sold, and then we can start going, and then buy the second unit for yourself, that people can come. The detachment comes from putting it in the position that others can benefit by. Now I buy that, keep it in my house when I need, I sit. The benefit is very limited. Thank you very much, Dr. Klaus. Anything else you want to tell us what you're selling to us today?
No, not today. Next time. And Thanks. You're welcome. And I would like to thank the team, because I'm always in front of the camera, but we are a very strong team here, and this is an output of a team and not of a single person. Although people from the team bring in beautiful information and beautiful new fields. Thank you very much, and especially to the project leaders now from the German-speaking area, because I feel so good that these units which we are giving out, you must imagine, as soon as you create an entity, create a unit, you have to give it away. And the last 3 ones we gave away when we built up these beautiful, strong fields, I mean, just for some seconds, we thought, oh my God, now we have to give away our babies here. But as soon as they're delivered, there comes back such a huge energy to the whole group, which boosts us again. And this group, which is currently planning and organizing this project, is a beautiful group, and these units are in such good hands that we can say we feel good, and we thank all of you, every single person's soul in this team, that you care for the units, and you care for the communication. And there is no doubt for us that these units come into places where people just use them for themselves, because the group is looking for the openness of the doors. Thank you very much, and we give
How
back.
how many units when you sell you give one away? Every 4 you give one away, or every 5 you give one away?
Currently, and this is just part of our calculation, about every 5th. So we produce 4, and the 5th we can give away. And
So
the better we become in production and everything, we can give away more.
So if I order you 4, then you can give me 1 free, becomes 5.
No, this 5th unit goes into the project, because it goes into the project.
I can appoint the project.
I think it's good when we have started the first project, because then the people are already queuing up. We have a list of priorities, who receives the next one, and
yeah, but the thing is, if people buy, you go, but I pay and I dictate where I want my 5th one to go. My priority is
new system. New system we can talk about, yes, personally.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. The process is, I was talking to one of our doctors in the past few days, and he said, can I have the new systems? We have developed technology that's very much in line with what you see, but in a very totally different way. We can eradicate cancer within minutes. The system is very much interactive, but we can do it in a very rapid way. It does not matter what cancer. But this technology has to be as part of the peace negotiation. It's not to be given to one doctor for him to prove that he can. And many of these doctors who use the Keshe Foundation technology, making a lot of money, have not fed back anything to the foundation. We just become a very good money source for them. And this is wrong. And you have to understand this is part of the structure of the foundation. We give totally freely. You have to give to the society and community freely. Sometimes people think I gave it a bit too much. That's exactly when you block yourself. But there is, as I said, a new cycle of what we call the structure of the Keshe Foundation space systems, in a way final to achieve lift motion, and sustaining life has gone into construction, design and construction, and with it will come a lot of things. You might look at the system that you put a jacket on a physical body, but you have not understood my teaching that way. It means you have not understood what I thought. It's easier to change the position of the cancer of the soul in interaction with the physicality than going to change the physical parts. And this technology very soon will be unraveled, it will be shown physically working, and it'll be part of a specific presentation. You blocked us again. Have you moved out? It's okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Klaus. What
You're
you
welcome.
will,
Thank you.
thank you very much. What you will see in a coming time, as we reach the point of maturity, systems will move from interaction with the fields of the body of the man to the fields of the soul of the man. And evolution, as it's happened, will come through evolution of the new technology science in developing new systems. We just been informed that the QQ of the Keshe Foundation in China has been blocked again in both channels. That's a prerogative of the Chinese government and national security. In so many ways, the knowledge has to be shared and to be seen through the eye of the, what we call the soul of the man, not the eye of the physicality of the man. Thank you very much for today. We are nearly into 3.5 hours. Thank you very much, Keshe Foundation team worldwide, and hopefully very soon we do not need to be in the field, as we are part of the field, and this will bring home a lot of understanding that every one of us positions the others to be in the seas of pain, suffering, or pleasure. And can we do it not in the condition of physicality, but through the interaction of our souls? It's getting more and more pleasurable, and that is, we started a new journey, and this journey is going to be so beautiful that would elevate the soul of the humanity. And it's strange how the physicality will follow. Thank you very much for today, and see you next week on the 260th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.
I'll make it the 5-year anniversary,
Yep.
I guess. Okay, thank you for today's teaching and information, Mr. Keshe. And we'll see what people do with this in the next week. And things are changing quickly in the universe, so who knows what will unfold by then. It's been the 259th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, January 17th, 2019. Thank you everybody for your questions and comments, and anything that didn't get answered can get carried over to next week. Okay, thank you, Flynn, for taking us out.
We have no noise.
But I think we have to.
By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.